there was several students who asked good questions, but one in particular where he was asking just really well thought, brilliant questions, especially for his age. It was one of those kids where you're like, when you get out of high school, if you want to come back
here's
here
my card.
and talk, here's my card.
Maybe laminate it. Thanks for having me, guys. Really excited to be with you today. I'm Christian Jensen. I'm the Director of Institutional Giving with the SME Education Foundation. And I joke, but I'm pretty serious about it. I've got the best job going. I get to work with manufacturers, folks that have an interest in the manufacturing sector to promote great careers in manufacturing. Manufacturing is not dirty. It's not dull. It's not dark. It's not dangerous. Actually, just having the opportunity to walk through your factory confirmed all of that. There's some pretty cool jobs in manufacturing, some very high-tech jobs. So I get to work with manufacturers, small, medium, and large across the country to build out education programs. And the SME Education Foundation, who's been around for the better part of 40 years, has 3 key programs. So at our trade shows and conferences, and I want to talk to Sarah a little bit more in a minute about it, but we bring young people in for that first taste of manufacturing, showing it's a pathway to prosperity, and you get to play with some pretty cool toys. We also award about $1 million a year in scholarships. We have need-based scholarships, we have merit-based scholarships, but all of our scholarships are geared at one piece, to break down the barriers to entry for young people interested in careers in manufacturing. And finally, we've got a high school program. We're in 125 high schools. We're in 120 high schools in 25 states, and it's a comprehensive grade 9 through 12 manufacturing education program, which really the cornerstone of that program is industry-recognized credentials and certifications. So that's me, and that's the SME Education Foundation in a nutshell.
Awesome. I love how we just had this discussion when you got to tour the shop floor, and we got into this little discussion about, is manufacturing sexy?
It absolutely
And we're like,
is.
absolutely. Come on. I have the sticker on my laptop to prove it, that I picked up at the latest trade show. But I think you're right, Christian. There's this stigma maybe around manufacturing, or this preconceived notion that it is kind of dirty and janky and greasy. And I think it maybe could have used to have been those things, but that's definitely not where automation and robots and all these cool toys that you alluded to, that's not where we are now. So that's one of my favorite things to share with the kids, whether it's inviting high school kids into scientific cutting tools during manufacturing day celebrations, or whether it's having the high schoolers come and middle schoolers come visit the booth at the trade shows with the Bright Minds Summit that SME coordinates. It is really fun, and to see their eyes light up.
Maybe we should have them come in the summertime. They'll find out it's not just a cool job, but it's air conditioned.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, it was really nice on your shop floor. It was comfy.
Yeah. I think kids just need the exposure. And honestly, I think parents need the exposure.
Yeah.
Parents need to know that, right?
Yes.
Because the kids can be, I can speak to this as a mother of a 14-year-old. He doesn't always have the best, most safe ideas. And so I'm like, well,
Sounds
I
like
don't
a
know
14-year-old
about that.
boy.
Right. Like, that's normal. That's totally, typical developmental behavior. But I think to lobby to the parents, and just for the parents to know, like, manufacturing is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is pretty amazing. I've got to ask, what does your 14-year-old want to be when he grows up?
He has stated that he wants to be an engineer at Scientific Cutting Tools.
All right, so you're doing something right.
Something, but I will say that is just something that is caught, not taught, because we have no expectation. In fact, I think we have even touched on this topic in a previous podcast episode, that it has to be in the kid's own timing. So if that's what he wants and that's what he wants to pursue, Brian and I, as his parents, are fully supportive of him. And if he chooses something else, that's fine too. We've always said, if you do whatever it is you're going to do with integrity and ethics, and you have hard work, I don't care what the job is that you do. But if you have those key things, then that's okay.
And I have to think the passion's a little bit in his DNA.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. But also, I was in education for a lot of years. And so I think for me to be able to collaborate with the SME Education Foundation, that is something that I am particularly passionate about, because I spent about 15 years in paid and in volunteer roles in the education realm. So I taught bilingual elementary school, and then I took a few years off when the babes were young, and then re-entered into the PTA world, which is that's a whole thing. PTA moms, dads out there hold a lot of sway, and it was very meaningful work for me, and I was blessed to be able to be embedded in a district that valued the parents and the involvement that we had there. And so I did district level PTA and then the school safety committee, and then helped to co-lead a bond campaign. And
Awesome.
then bowed out of a school district seat or school board seat in order to move here. So I got to see the whole gambit of what is it like to be a teacher, what is it like just to be a parent of a child in a school district, and then what does it look like to be on the educational leadership side and making decisions and listening to people, I think was the big takeaway that I learned in my years in the education role. But that's why I'm so passionate about education and manufacturing. I'm like, yes, bring it. This is what I love.
My grandfather was a manufacturing engineer for the better part of 50 years, but he also became a manufacturing engineer because he served in the U.S. Army Air Corps in World War II, and because of the GI Bill. So that financial barrier was broken down for him, because before that he was the son of Danish immigrants, dirt poor farmers in upstate New York. And because of that financial barrier being broken down, he was able to go and get his engineering degree and have a very prosperous career in manufacturing. But it didn't just change his life, it changed our entire family's life. But he's also the reason why I'm an aviation nerd. So it's funny where work and life intersect.
Yes, absolutely. I love the transformation, that story of transformation. And I think that's what fed my soul as a teacher, is whether it's that light bulb moment when you're teaching third graders how to multiply, or whether it's teaching parents how to speak to their moody teenager in it, or soliciting speakers for a PTA meeting or whatever it may be. There's that light bulb moment, and you can just see it, the spark in their eye, and it is kind of like a little ding, and the light bulb comes, and they're like, I get it, Miss Falk. I'm like, yay, I'm so excited for you. And that's pretty soul filling for me. So I'm totally resonating with you, Christian. Like, yes, that's awesome.
I'm hearing where some of your passion comes from. It's from your own family's experience. You're trying to offer that to students around the country, and what you're doing is to help break down that barrier.
Right.
By having these programs across the country where students are learning these skills at a younger age. Maybe they won't move on to college, but they already have a skill that will get them into that good job somewhere. And that's really cool.
It is really cool, and I was joking about it, but I mean it sincerely. I have the best job because I get to walk into high school and see a young person's life being changed, and it's also amazing. I wish I picked up the manufacturing bug at a younger age, and didn't end up with a political science degree, but it's okay. It all worked out in the end. But when you walk into a high school setting and you see a 15, 16-year-old programming a CNC machine, measuring tolerances either by hand or a CMM machine, and you just see their thought process is just so far ahead of where I was at 16, and I think a lot of us were. It's like, okay, the future's really bright. And Sarah, just to go back to your passion, first conversation we had at MT Series East, it was like, wow, this is a manufacturing evangelist, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for partners that have that passion. And you gave so generously of your time. You had customers coming to your booth, and you were juggling students, and it was like, wow, thank you for that. But I want to just hear a little bit more about your experience, because we have these student summits at, 5 different shows this year, and I see it from our perspective that the students have a great time, they learn a lot. But from your perspective as a manufacturing, having hundreds of students come to your booth every day, any funny stories from that?
So I love the kids that are very neurospicy. Those are my favorite. So I like to keep on the table a little, it's like a cube about 3 by 3 by 3, and it shows what a port looks like. Okay, so it's kind of like I see these cutting tools on the table, but like, what do they do, right? And so I use this block as kind of a showcase. This is what it does. And I had the most brilliant, most inquisitive, very, very neurospicy, neurodiverse young lady come, and you could see her struggling because she wanted to pick up the block and inspect it. But she asked if I had a wipe, that I could wipe it down first. And I did. So I was like, of course, I would be glad to wipe it down. And actually, she had a very good point, because a lot of people had been handling this block of aluminum with a port milled or, cut into it. But once she like picked it up, and you could see her overcome that, like, okay, I'm going to touch this thing that a lot of people have touched. And so there was some anxiety there. But then the inspection process, when she began to really manipulate it and hold it and look in and see how the port had created the seat and the O-ring and the threads inside of it, even with the thread mill that comes along behind it, she just lit up. It was so cool. And I'm like, cool. I'm so, first of all, inside I was cheering. Like, I'm so proud of you for doing a really hard thing, but being able to really engage with the props and the tools and stuff that I had laid out on the table before them. And then for her to be able to engage with that and see it and really envision and conceptualize how the tool made those cuts in the aluminum. So that was like a really cool,
awesome. That
was a fun one. But overall, the kids are just so curious and inquisitive and smart. And their teachers have been teaching them about tolerances, and even they know what the slide is, the measurement. We give away the slides that have our name on it. And so I make sure to have one for each student. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to use this. Oh, this is nice. It has the depth gauge on it. So they're excited about that. And it gives me hope and joy to know that there's all these teachers in all these schools all across the country at all these different shows that we go to that are pouring into their students, and they're teaching them, and the kids are absorbing it and learning it. Yeah. And they're asking really good questions.
That reminds me of Manufacturing Day, when we had that group of students, local students, come to our shop last year. And I remember there was several students who asked good questions, but one in particular where he was asking just really well thought, brilliant questions, especially for his age, and about the manufacturing process and about what we were doing. And as he was leaving, it was one of those kids where you're like, when you get out of high school, if you want to come back
here's
here
my card.
and talk,
here's
my card. Exactly. Don't lose that. Let's talk.
Maybe laminate it.